Hi, I'm Michael Strahan of the New York Giants.
Natural leader.
Best defense end.
There aren't many guys better at that position to ever play this game.
He was so tough and so physical.
All day long.
I mean, he like old school beat you, make you say uncle.
You know, when he walked in, there was a certain presence about him, a certain aura that he carried himself with.
When he spoke, everyone listened.
17-14, fellas. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
It's Michael Strahan. Whatever he did, we would follow, and he just exemplified what a New York Giant is all about. If there was a Mount Rushmore of New York Giants, it's him. His face is on it.
All right, so Michael, you're coming out of Texas Southern, and you find out you're going to the New York Giants. Did you have doubts as to whether you could even play in the NFL?
When I got the call from Dan Reeves, I was thinking to myself, why do they need me? They have LT, and it's cold up there. I remember watching the Giants growing up and watching the smoke come out of their mouths when they're playing. I'm thinking, I don't want any part of that.
You're coming into the NFL. There's a draft, you know, all the big-time college players. You're coming from a small school. Mm-hmm. Did that create anxiety for you or a chip on your shoulder?
I think more of a chip on my shoulder. And I was told that when you go to the NFL, you're not Michael Strahan from Texas Southern. You're Michael Strahan, a football player, and if you weren't one of the best, you wouldn't be there.
So you walk in, there's Lawrence Taylor. You got big, crazy Michael Brooks, you know, who was a new guy that had come in. I mean, there was a lot of veteran guys. Did they put you in your place right away?
You know, I was quiet. Contrary to how I am now, I was a mouse. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I remember Phil Simms, I walked in the locker room and Phil said, "Hey, Michael." And I was oh my God, Phil Simms just spoke to me. And then LT walked into the locker room, and all of us rookies, it was like he was walking on water. We all were in such amazement. Like, oh my, that's Lawrence Taylor. Don't stare, don't look. But you couldn't help yourself. And it was the most intimidating, but also exciting time that a young guy could ever have on any team. To see guys like that who are proven veterans come in and, for one, know your name, and for two, just lead by example and show you how to be a pro.
You know, you had Dan Reeves as the head coach, experienced guy. Mike Nolan, who's a talented defensive coordinator. You had Earl Leggett, defensive line coach. And they were starting to draft good, young defensive players, which would kind of lead to the '97 team that won the division. Did you get a sense that, hey, what they're building here, at least on my side of the ball, is pretty good?
Pass for the Giants was defense. We were very much into trying to shut teams out, live up to the legacy of the Giant defense, and we had guys who were smart enough to realize that. And when you have a Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, you know, Carl Banks, and you know all these guys who were just such great defensive players who helped the legacy of this organization, that's what you're trying to uphold. You know, the first year for me, it was kind of a learning experience. I had an injury, so I sat out and I watched, and just to be around the guys, and we're winning, and things are just seemed easy. And then the next year, we lost a lot of guys, and I'm out there, and they throw me out there right in and say, you sink or swim. And we started losing, and it's not going so well, and I realized that, boy, you don't make the playoffs every year.
What about when they moved you to the other side?
I was angry. I mean, I was, you know, a right defensive end and moved me to left defensive end when they drafted Cedric Jones. And I was like, why are they moving me? And then I said to myself, well, in order to prove it to them, I'm going to bust my butt over here and show them I can play. And it ended up being the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I thank Dan Reeves, I thank Mike Nolan, Earl Leggett for moving me, because without that move, I don't know what would have happened had I stayed on the right side, and the left defensive end position was just more natural for me.
Takes the snap and drops back. Under pressure, sacked by Strahan back at the 20. It's Michael's second of the ball game.
For 15 seasons, Michael Strahan was the physical and emotional leader of one of the most dominant defenses in New York Giants history.
Strahan is the best ever in everything, the best ever.
How many LT, what's the most LT ever got?
15, and he had 20 and a half one year. Yeah, I got to come out the box for that one.
Strahan's 22 and a half sacks in 2001 set the single-season record, and he was named Defensive Player of the Year.
The league sack record was great. I mean, who doesn't want that? But the thing I'm most proud of is bringing LT's Giant sack record.
First and 10 Eagles. McNabb back to throw. Steps up under pressure, and he's sacked by Michael Strahan. And there's the record, the New York Giants record, 133.5, and he does it with Lawrence Taylor in the house.
That right there was the crowning moment of my career, because he was the greatest defensive player to ever play. But one thing that I pride myself in, and I tell people all the time, I don't miss rushing a passer. I miss playing a run. That was my first love. I love to play the run, and the pass was secondary. But to be thought of as a great run defender means something, because you can get somebody who's fast who can just go and rush the passer, but it takes something different, some desire to play the run, especially when you're going against a guy who sometimes outweighs you by 100 pounds.
Pick sixes, you had a couple of those in your career. Is that cooler than getting a sack?
I wasn't known as a pick six machine, so I'll stick with the sacks.
But you had big ones.
But big ones, yeah. You know what? It happened at the right time. I'll never forget. It's like yesterday. The plays are like yesterday in my head. And we're in that Washington game. I'm lined up over the tight end. I have to cover him. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe if I kind of duck down and just cut in front of him, he'll throw him the ball without seeing me.
Off his back foot, throws it right. Intercepted by Michael Strahan. Running right. Strahan to the end zone. Touchdown! Michael Strahan with the interception.
The other one against the Eagles, Christian Peter puts his big mid up there, tips it. I see the ball coming, and all I remember is go get it at its highest point. And I'm running, and I'm just thinking to myself, if I let an offensive lineman catch me, I would never live this down.
Leadership. How much of a burden was that to not only be the leader in the locker room with your teammates, but you were the voice of this football team?
It's going to be physical. It's going to be tough. You're going to be tired. All that, man. All right? Get that out your mind. We got to go the entire game because the game is won right here in this group.
In the locker room, he was a guy, his voice was always carrying through the locker room. When he was telling a story or he was animated about something, everybody heard what he was saying.
We are the New York Giants, and we ain't no punk. Mama ain't raised no punk. Papa ain't raised no punk. What do? We
Not surprised also just with his work ethic, and that's was so important for me to see, and why he was such a great mentor, role model for me coming to the New York Giants.
It was my job, as part of not just being on the field, it was part of my job to be the voice, to be the guy who says this or to be the guy who says that.
This is what I was built for. I was built to play football. That's what my mentality is.
And if somebody else said something, it was my job to go out on the field and back them up.
Welcome home, baby.
But there was nothing, absolutely nothing I enjoy more or nothing I miss more is being on that field with the guys. And I got to look at a guy and make him believe that he is the best thing out there on that field, his position, that we are the best thing out there together.
Champions and winners believe they will win the game. I'm not worthy. I am not worthy.
Nothing inspires me more than to lead people like that and make them believe something that, for most people, would be unbelievable.
2006 comes, tough loss in the playoffs. Now you're really kicking around whether you're going to come back.
Yeah.
What was the final tipping point for you to say, we're going to give this another run here?
Well, 2005 had a great year, which was great. I mean, went to the Pro Bowl with OC, which was like a dream come true after coming back off the foot injury. 2006, tore my pec halfway through the season. I sat there and realized I did not want to end my Giants career with a torn pec muscle, ending my career 8 games into my final season, and I did not want to leave the guys like that. I came back because I want to finish on a great note.
Michael Strahan returned for one final season in 2007, and he helped to lead Big Blue on a magical postseason run. After beating the Buccaneers in Tampa, the Road Warrior Giants would head to Dallas for a playoff showdown against their bitter rivals.
Heavyweight fight! Heavyweight fight, let's go!
That Dallas game, we were so confident up front, and then we were so dialed in with each other that with just a look, you can get an idea, you can get a feel. And to be in Dallas, pressuring Romo, we just wanted to hit that quarterback and meet the other guy there at the point of impact.
Romo on a play fake. He's back to throw. He's going to roll to his right, gets hit, gets sacked, back and
the 38-yard line. Strahan and Kavika Mitchell and OCU Manure all there. Here we go, 4th and 11 at the Giants 23. 16 seconds to go. Romo takes the snap. Back to throw, has time to the end zone. Intercepted by the Giants. Intercepted by the Giants in the end zone.
To win that game on an R.W. McCourty's interception in the end zone at the end of it, I've never seen 80,000 people silent, like you couldn't hear anything. And it was by far the greatest feeling of my life. I'm happy about whipping the Cowboys in Dallas. Finish them. Get out of here, Cowboy fans. Go home.
And the New York Giants have knocked off the #1 seed in the NFC, and they win the ball game 21-17.
Welcome to Lambeau Field in Green Bay for the NFC Championship game. Second coldest game ever at Lambeau Field, -1 degree with a wind chill of -23.
You know, I think back to that game, I think back to Eli and Plaxico Burress were the only two guys who played like they weren't cold.
Looks right, throws right, looking for Burress, who makes the catch over the defender.
They looked like they were in the backyard, slinging it around, because you got Eli who's throwing perfect spirals in that weather, and you got Plaxico's catching it with his hands, not his body. And it was the best I've ever seen Eli play, the most confident I've ever seen him be, going against the great legend in -23-degree weather. And that's when I literally looked and said, the boy is now a man.
And the New York Giants are going to Super Bowl 42. In overtime, they beat the Packers 23-20. The New York Football Giants and the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 42.
Going into the Super Bowl, I'm not thinking it could be it's my last game, but I definitely think this could be. I wanted to win so bad. I wanted to win so bad.
And we did want to win for Michael just because of what he meant to this organization, 15 years, his leadership, and especially on the defensive side, but the whole team. And we definitely wanted to win that one for him, get him his championship.
How did the Giants pull off one of the major upsets in Super Bowl history? In order to do the unthinkable, Strahan and the Giants defense would have one goal in mind: pressure Tom Brady all game long.
Blitz is on, under pressure, avoids the sack and then gets dropped. Michael Strahan got a piece of it.
I'm very offended that they're leaving him out there by himself. See it in his face. He don't know what to do.
Takes the snap and back to throw. Sets in the pocket, and he's sacked by Michael Strahan back at the 32-yard line.
Strahan's leadership, it was huge. I don't know if you win that 2007 Super Bowl without that kind of leadership.
17-14 is the final, okay? 17-14, fellas. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
I wanted to relay to them what I really believe needed to happen. I need you guys to score a touchdown. We need to be world champions.
3rd and 5 for the Giants. Can Eli Manning do it? Manning takes the snap. Back to throw. Under pressure. Avoids the rush, and he's going to fight out of it. Still fights out of it. Now throws it deep downfield. Tyree makes the catch. What a play by Manning. What a catch by Tyree.
Catches it. Ball off his helmet, head. You couldn't tell what he did with it. When he caught the ball, game was over. We knew we were going to win.
Manning takes the snap, looks left, lobs it left. First is wide open. Touchdown Giants in the left corner of the end zone. And that is it. The New York Giants have knocked off the New England Patriots. And the Giants, with the most improbable win in recent memory, have won Super Bowl 42.
We won the Super Bowl.
How about Michael Strahan after all these years?
Yes.
He had the season of a lifetime, and he was able to do what few others have done and just walk off into the sunset with a Super Bowl.
To be at your best on the biggest stage of the biggest game of your life and possibly the last game of your life, it was as if somebody wrote down a script and said, you know, this is the perfect ending.
Following the Giants' win in Super Bowl 42, Michael Strahan would retire from the NFL. But as his playing days came to a close, his career after football was just beginning. As the Giants' grand ambassador, Strahan became the poster child for what playing in New York can do for an athlete's career.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
When I played, my primary focus was to be on the field and be the best. But when I decided it was time to retire, all the goodwill I built up over the years from being here with the Giants, where I had more opportunities than I ever imagined, which turned into a career for me, and thank goodness for that.
I'm not surprised that it went that route, just with Michael's personality and him in the locker room. He's a great friend of mine, and get to watch him now on TV doing all the fun things, and no one's working harder than Michael and deserves all the success that he's having.
Strahan is a charter member of the Giants Ring of Honor, which was formed in 2010. But his greatest recognition came 4 years later, when he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
He is the only man who can deep clean a quarterback and fill the shoes of Regis Philbin. He is none other than Hall of Famer Michael Strahan. I love you, brother. I love you. Congratulations, brother. I love you, man. I appreciate you, bro. I'm looking for it, baby. It's time for Jay Glazer to put a gold jacket on Michael Strahan.
Life is about improbability, and my life is improbable. I am an absolutely improbable Hall of Famer. I was a late bloomer as a football player. You know, I didn't play in high school. I played 1 year in high school. I was a late bloomer, but the improbable happened. I get drafted by the New York freaking Giants. And not only by the Giants, but I get drafted by Wellington Mara, the Duke, Bob Tisch, the Tisch family, and the great George Young. Those are the guys who brought me and trusted me enough to bring me to the Giants. In the spirit of that, their kids, John Mara and Steve Tisch, have continued in that spirit of realizing that the team is a family. Now, I used to go in the locker room before every game, and I would go and tap and touch and hand high five and pep talk every player, equipment guy, coach. The reason I did it was because each time I touch each guy, I'm accountable to you. What I put out there on that field today is not for me, it's for you. You will never be disappointed in me. This is about a family. This is about teammates. This is about everybody pitching in to make you better, and for you, hopefully, to make them better. And for what the game of football has done for me, I am eternally grateful to this game. And I'm so glad that I am a representative of the 2014 NFL Hall of Fame.
Tonight, Michael Strahan, it is my great privilege on behalf of the other 287 Hall of Famers to present you with this ring as one of the great players in the history of the game.
In his 15 seasons with Big Blue, Michael Strahan recorded 141.5 sacks, good for 5th all-time in the NFL record books. He's one of the greatest Giants who have ever played the game.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. I'll always have a home here.